active, and you should send your questions ASAP, because we are talking marriage and we are talking divorce and we are talking settlements. So you make a vow, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part. But some of the way, a party may decide it ends here. And that is when a more serious conversation about differing households, differing settlements, different views on how the properties should be shared arises. Recent events around the world have thrown the spotlight on marriage and divorce and also on settlements. Biggest deal is who gets what. And in some cases, this ends up putting one party on the hard burner. Ghana's legal system defines marriage not just as a moral and legal union between a man and a woman to live together as partners, but also a union between families. So when these things happen, how should the matters be settled? And these are the questions that we want answers to at the table today. What happens when a marriage is about to be dissolved in court? There are standards to go by. Today on GTV Breakfast, we've invited you to join the discussion, and we also have a team here to help us analyze what the real issues should be for the consenting parties. Akosia Hansen is a broadcaster and a women's rights activist, a very welcome member of the team already. Welcome back to the table, Akosia.
Thank you.
Legal practitioner, Mr. Morris Apau, a lawyer and a very vocal one at that, also joining our table. Mr. Apau, thank you for joining us once again. I'm looking forward to the discussion. Lawyer Musa Ahmed will also be joining us along the way as we have this conversation. So perhaps I'll start with the lady at the table.
No,
actually not.
Let
me start with the lawyer. So legally, we know when a man and a woman decide to come together in a marriage. For the Ghanaian context, there are many ways in which a person can consider themselves married. Tell us what the legal ways are. We may know some of them, but just for clarity.
In law, we have marriage under customary law, where they decide to go through the customary requirements, and then they get married. Then we have the marriage under ordinance, where in law you have to go through ordinance requirements, and then we have the Islamic. So these are the three types of marriage that we have: the customary, the marriage under the ordinance, and the Islamic marriage.
Why is the Islamic one separate? So I ask that because you're not saying a Christian marriage or a traditional marriage, but you're saying Islamic and then ordinance and then customary. Why is Islamic out of the two that you mentioned before?
The ordinance look like the Christian marriage, but there are requirements. But per law, we have the marriage ordinance, which you must go through. For example, a man and a man cannot marry, and then there should be a place of marriage which is registered. So there are requirements.
So let's understand this better. Let's take it from customary law. What are the requirements to be able to say that my marriage is a customary one and it is legally binding?
Simple. When the man and woman decide to marry, and then they bring their families together, and then the woman decides to ask for dowry, and then the man provides the dowry, and it is accepted by both parties, then it's customary marriage.
Does it matter if the family is, because we've had cases where somebody rents a family to go and marry somebody? Does it matter?
Yes, when it comes to customary marriage, family matters. It's very, very crucial that both families, the real family, you cannot impersonate. You cannot use fake family.
So if your partner, if your wife or your husband brought other people who were not his family and pretended they were his family or your family to engage in the contract, then it is not a customary marriage under law?
Yeah, definitely. The marriage, you can take the marriage to court and set it aside that the marriage was contracted on deceit or fraud. So you can always take action when you realize that one partner has deceived you or fraud by pretense, trying to bring people who are not. Then you can take steps dissolve and not set aside the marriage, not even dissolve.
Okay, so that's a customary marriage. What are the indicators for ordinance?
Ordinance, you must first ensure that you're a man and a wife, and then two, you must also make sure that your marriage is done at a place where it's registered. If it's a church, it's properly registered. Then the person who is going to officiate should have the license to do so. And then you must also make sure that the marriage is one man, one wife. So we look at certain ingredients as provided by the ordinance, and then we can then decide that the marriage is validly done.
I've also heard that under the ordinance, the marriage needs to be gazetted, and that a lot of people have not taken steps to register their marriages after the church celebration. Explain that.
Oh, no, with ordinance, definitely you go through the process. You give notice to the registrar general, and then once you go to the process, you sign the marriage certificate, and then it goes to their system. So you are being provided a marriage certificate. You don't need any gazette because the certificate has already been gazetted by the marriage registry. So that is enough. Once you have the marriage certificate, going through the process, the notice, then the actual signing, if it is at the registry, and then if it is at the church, normally they have this marriage register. They go and then you sign. Once it is signed and then it is issued, then it is effective.
All right. So that takes care of the first two, customary and ordinance. How is the Islamic marriage?
The Islamic customs is being done by making sure that you follow the customs of the Islamic, and then that is governed by the Quran. So you go through the process, and then that also is marriage and ordinance. And the Islamic marriage.
I know that even after people have had customary and Islamic marriages, some prefer to go under ordinance again. Yeah, as a next level of...
Oh, that's conversion. You can always convert your marriage from ordinance to customary, from customary to Islamic. It's conversion. So there's a process, legal process. You go to the registrar general and make an application, and then they take you through the process. So you can always convert.
Nice. Who qualifies to get married in Ghana?
Once you are 16 and above. But with 16, yes, the 16, you need the parental consent. You see, because in law, a girl who is 16 can have sex. So once you can have sex, you can marry. So if the person is 16, you need parental consent. But normally after 18, you qualify. So a person who is 18, you need parental consent only for the blessing. You see, parents bless, but you don't need parental consent before you marry.
Is that for the boy or for the girl?
Both.
If you're 16 and you're a boy, you need your parents.
Yes, you are not matured enough to even think of marrying. So if your parents will allow you, that's why the parental consent to guide you. Because every parent should be enough to say that no, you are not matured enough. So that's why the law says that then if you want to marry at 16, go and seek the consent of your parents. But after 18, you are no more. You are no more a child. Therefore, you can decide to marry. And then people think that when you want to marry, you need your parental consent before you can marry. No,
because you need a parent's blessing.
Yes, blessing, not a consent. Because if not, a lot of parents will say, "Look, I set conditions. If you don't buy me a house, if you don't buy me a car, you marry. You go and marry, you see." And you know how our mothers and then our dads at times thinking that they have invested so much in you, therefore they will decide to show you where power lies. So you don't need parental consent. All that you need is that there should be witnesses, and then you should qualify, and then you should go through the legal process. And the parental blessings is very, very important, crucial. So don't ignore that one. Although it's not a requirement for you to marry under the ordinance, but the blessings is key.
Why am I asking all these things? Because people go through all these steps. They get into a union and they make these vows, and then stuff happens, right? And they decide that, listen, I can't do this anymore, and I would rather go my way and then you go yours. You're a lawyer. What are some of the issues that have come to your attention that have brought marriages to the point of seeking divorce?
I think that I'm a family law expert and land law expert. So I've done more than 300 divorce cases.
Breaking homes?
More than 300 divorce cases. Currently I have about 56 pending. So the issues keeps on changing. The issues that normally brings about divorce 20 years ago is no more the issues today. Today, what is critical problem in our marriages is the influence of social media. Social media is causing a lot of broken homes because it's exposing our marriages to the world. Now we have women who easily cheat in marriages because of social media. You have your ex-boyfriend on your WhatsApp. You can contact your people can easily look at you and
but
then chat
why,
you.
Akosia, I'll let you have a go at this. Is it weird that immediately it goes to the woman having their exes on their phones and within reach? Does that strike you as the very first thing he would mention when he said social media? I was expecting something, but he went straight at the women and their exes, didn't he?
Yeah, we were having a conversation even off air, so I was expecting you to.
You were expecting him. Yeah, okay, so maybe you finish your point and then.
The reason why women, under our traditional setup, by practice, it's norm. Cheating coming from men is acceptable. It's acceptable because men naturally are cheats. We cheat without reasons, and when you cheat, you can compensate your wife. Because at the end of the day, you have issues where a man can easily go and marry 1 or 2 or 3, and then when a man your husband have sex with another woman, the man can easily come and beg and say that it's influenced by the devil, and then therefore forgive me. And then we have so many ways of compensating our wives, and I can tell you I've not done any research, but I can tell you out of 10 women today, the modern woman, if a man cheats on the wife and the man comes home and says that, look, baby, please forgive me, it will not happen. I'm ready to give you iPhone or buy you a car or tell me what you want. A lot of ladies would tell the man that I'm prepared to accept your compensation.
Akosia.
I'm telling you. But we men, we can't accept any compensation. Because in fact, if they have sex with your wife, it's very, very painful. It's very, very painful. Somebody having sex with your wife, a woman cheats for a cause. You see, we men cheat without no reasons. But for a married woman to cheat, there should be a lot of pain. The woman have to sit down and analyze.
I find that a very biased stance to take, and I'm sure that Akosia
women are very expensive.
Agree.
Women are very expensive. Women value their body than men. Women value sex than men. Therefore, for a woman to say that, have me, and for a married woman, it takes time because they have to think about 1, their dignity as a woman. 2, is there a one-night stand? 3, what happens if I'm caught? And then 4, can I continue cheating? Women value their bodies, but I'm saying men naturally, because I don't know whether because our man who do not have eyes, we go anywhere. Men can easily fall. A man can have sex without knowing the reasons. At times we have sex with women and we regret because we said that what happened. So in the men's world, it's different.
So Maurice, hold on. Yeah. Perhaps the women are learning from the best.
No, don't learn. It's a bad. Don't do that. You see, the men world is different from the women world. When woman cheats, you'll be in trouble. Because when I go and impregnate another woman, it's easily for me to bring that baby, compensate my wife, and we live peacefully. But what happens if somebody impregnates my wife?
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Somebody impregnated my wife. Yes, impregnated my wife. How do I handle that situation?
Accept the baby as yours. Women do it all the time.
Who? As who? Once the biological father is alive. Somebody comes to me and say, look, I've impregnated your wife, so I'm coming to take the baby away. How can you handle it? And women, once a man has had sex with you, there is always a way. You cannot do away with it.
Let's give Akosia an opportunity to. I feel like all the points I want to make because I'm moderating, I can't speak.
You can talk.
Akosia, you heard what
we are two women here.
The lawyer is saying. That's why we needed two lawyers. And Musa will be joining us very shortly so that he also share some perspectives. You've heard what we are talking about the infidelity bit into more detail. Is it easier, like Maurice is saying, for men to step out than it is for women? And I mean, me and you are single women, right? But when you sit back and look at the marriages that you admire, what are some of the danger signs you see that could potentially lead to divorce, which is why we are having this conversation, just the challenges that lead to that
divorce. Okay, so I'm not someone who admires marriage as an institution. First of all, it's an institution that is I believe generally dangerous and generally a system of inequality where things are concerned. What he's raised are real beliefs people actually have because of patriarchy, because of how we've been socialized. And I want to premise this with a conversation, or at least for us to reflect on. I always go back to pre-colonial Africa, right? So certain notions we have about ourselves, about how marriages or what gender roles are, were actually not the notions or ideas we had about gender and how marriage is supposed to look like. Pre-colonial Africa, it's when you look at the anthropological studies of different societies, marriage was not necessarily essentialized under a woman's body, a woman's value, or that. No, marriage was when you have children. People, if you are patrilineal, it just allows that the children will be affiliated to the man's side of the family. If you're matrilineal, whether you divorce or not, the children belong to the mother's side of the family. If you pay your bride price, and the bride wealth actually is a proper term for it. If you pay the bride wealth and you're in a matrilineal society, when you have children afterwards, what happens is, if you want to divorce, you take back your bride wealth. The children still belong in the mother's house because it's matrilineal, and divorce was not so. This is what I'll say. When it comes to relationships, it's normal that relationships end. I need you to understand that is this Christianization, this religious patriarchy that makes you think that no, it has to be from beginning to end till we die. But actually, people tell you they're ideals, but when you look at human behavior, we join, we split, we join, we split, we join, we split. Pre-colonial African society was very understanding of that. When a man and woman come together, it's not that we are going to be here and you are going to be my sole provider till. No, we understand that maybe things will end and I'll get my corner somewhere, me too, I'll probably get so things can end. So it wasn't, someone could leave a marriage just because, the sex wasn't good enough. Someone could leave a marriage because there's bad treatment. Someone could leave a marriage because I've not seen my husband in a long time, I've not seen my woman in a long time. It wasn't so difficult to get divorced because we understand this fluidity in our movements. And then comes colonialism. When I say colonialism, this is the period where we were colonized by the British. And during this time is the Victorian era. Victorian era Britain, their women were very different from African women. Their women were in a marriage setting. A woman who is married to a man, you're the housekeeper, you stay in the house, the man goes out into the field, right? And this is where they had come to Africa, where when you see marriages, and we have even the polygynous situations, right? A woman is also a breadwinner. Women were not the house stay at home, just that. No, you're the caretaker, you're also the breadwinner. Those who are fisher folk, the woman will go to the market, sell their fish. The men will go to the sea, go and cut their fish. If you're in the rural areas, agricultural farming areas, the women are into subsistence farming. For years, African pre-colonial societies, women are the main laborers in subsistence farming, right? So we were never the stay-at-home thing. But then comes colonialism, then comes the Christianization of our laws. Therefore, the ordinance, as he said, is very Christianized definitions of how marriage should be. So therefore, when that happens, now it's like women are being forced to change. African women specifically are being forced to change who they are. You see, our sisters are breadwinners, they go, they take care of all of that. Now they're telling you, stay at home, be here, and the man goes out there. Then comes the conversation on wealth, and then who owns what, and if the person stays at home and the person who goes out, then who really has the power. All of these conversations with Christianization, with capitalism, it tells you that the one who stays at home, that the one who does the care work, that part is unpaid, domestic is lesser, but the more important part is the one who goes out to the job, to go to the factory, to go to whatever. But that's part of it. The house care work, taking care of children, the domestic work, growing children is a very important part of the economy. That's what we call care work. If you don't have care work, right, you can't have the man being able to go to the offices. If your dresses are not laundered, if you've not eaten before you've gone, if you don't have all of that care at home, you can't go out and go and perform. These parts of the work are usually, because of patriarchy, it's been socialized that this is a feminine job to do, but actually it's a job that everyone shared. And when I say this, let me just premise with the fact that children in African marriages weren't raised primarily by the biological mother and father. In even our societies today, children are raised by their extended family. The biological mother and father actually understood this. Like, you don't see this as this is my child is my responsibility. No. You know, it's for the extended family. When the child comes, when it grows a little bit, they can send it to the child's parent, the father's side of the family, on the mother's side of the family, because this was also the chance for the child to learn their community, learn networking. Before you realize, when the child grows older, it's maybe your auntie from somewhere you used to stay with who became your benefactor to pay for school for you to go to Europe or whatever. You know, that's how we raise our children. So African women weren't so, how should I say it, tied to the marriage to their children in that way. African women could be free. So once their children go, then they can go to work, they can pursue their job, they can make money. You also send money back home. You become an economic unit, you know. So I feel like sometimes a lot of the notions we have today about ourselves, right, are notions that have been forced on us. We are being molded and forced into ways of being that were traditionally not us. So sometimes we then have to be careful. So therefore, when it comes to infidelity, I don't believe that, you know, oh, men are naturally. No. I'm a woman too. I get those feelings. Facts. We are all human beings. You know, every baby that comes, it starts, let me use this, it starts with a vagina before it enlarges to a penis with a clitoris, right? Human beings are basically, we are the same, you know, and we create gender. Gender is socially constructed. And then with patriarchy allows men to be free to cheat. But then when a woman cheats, then we create this thing about it. But at the core of it, we're actually the same. So why don't we create social systems where it's fair? Fair for us to do certain. Oh, no, at the core, no. When I say at the core,
because we all start out
the same way, and gender is socially constructed. So let's create systems that are fair. You can't say men cheat. Men is
they'll come for you. That's why you're single.
Look at your body.
They'll come for you.
Look at your body. They refer to you as beautiful. How do they refer to men? Handsome. Beautiful. Women respect their space and their body. I'm saying men, we have a problem. We were not properly molded by God. You know, we were just.
God is
I'm saying that.
It's not the work of the devil. Now it's God.
To God creating man in his own image. But when it comes to woman, he allowed the man to sleep and properly did a lot of architectural work on the woman. So that's why we say that a woman looks so beautiful, very expensive. That is why in our sector we go and we marry women. Women don't marry the men. So
in some communities, yes,
in the context, you're looking at Ghana. Okay. You're looking at Ghana.
And Ghana is different society.
I'm saying that your role as a woman is different from the role as a man in marriage. So a woman is expected to respect the man, your man, and if in respecting your man, you don't cheat. You don't cheat. But I'm saying that the woman, the man has a duty to love the woman. But at times, I'm not saying that it's always good. At times, men, we have a big problem. We easily get attracted. We easily get manipulated by women.
Because you are saying women feel these things.
You should not. You should not be thinking about feeling. It's not about feeling what you feel. I'm saying that you have the ability to control. Don't know how many women who feel for sex, but they control themselves. Look, we have situations where a woman can lose the husband and decide not to marry again. Women can stay longer. But even the man, the day your wife is gone, that day, if you are not very careful, whilst you are weeping, another girl can come around and say, "Oh, lawyer, God have mercy." Before
listen, I know people, not just men or women. I know people who are in committed, sometimes, stable relationships and marriages, who would still be with A in the morning, be with B mid-morning, be with C in the afternoon, be with D mid-afternoon, go somewhere else before they come home. So within a day, people can get with multiple people. The point is, it's a human thing. Yeah, it's not just a woman thing.
Definitely. With the man, I'm saying that if in a marriage setting you cheat, there are consequences you face as a man. And it's a grounds for a woman to divorce you.
Okay,
You
we are
see?
getting
So I'm saying that it's not good for a man to cheat, but I'm saying that we tolerate men cheating.
And
in our
that's a
setting
fact. We
Let's
do
hear
we do
Akosia.
actually tolerate men
cheating
cheating, and then we tolerate women cheating. And all we are just saying is that is a very unfair system. Period.
Definitely. It's
You know,
unfair.
if you are trying to be monogamous, for
Yes.
people who are going to be monogamous, me and just my partner,
definitely.
if you say you're going to be committing to that level of distance with your partner, then go by it. By Christian marriage, it tells you that I'm going to do this till we die. I'm going to stay with this person this way. So go by it. If you are polyamorous, if you are polygynous, if you are polyandrous, those come with different rules. So you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just that you have a system that is fair
Yes.
for all, but do not impose what you think, this should be what you should do.
You see, polyamory is accepted with men seeing other women with the full knowledge of the women in the
polygyny, that is.
So
polyamory is a blanket term.
I'm hesitating to say the main chick and the side
chick.
because
Yes,
it's
exactly.
accepted in Ghanaian society for a man to have the woman and then the others.
So,
but women cannot do that.
No, don't.
And that is one of the things that causes friction.
You see,
No, I'll say we shouldn't generalize that because, like I said, we had anthropological studies of different societies in sub-Saharan Africa. We have societies where they are polygynous, meaning a man can have several women. We also have societies where they are polyandrous. A woman can have several men, and their unions are different. Maybe I have a child with this man. This man takes care of his child this way. I have a child with this man. This man takes the child with this way. It's different per people. It's just like I said, with the Christianization, with the advent of Islam, with colonialism, then all of these things actually did start to take a very different turn. And who carry the burden of it? Women, because obviously Victorian women in their patriarchal world were the ones who were seen as the bearer of sin. Woman is the sin, the one who brought Eve was the one who brought. Yes, if you are going off of that, belief, but that's not my belief. That's not my creation story. So if I don't go by that belief, I don't see myself as a vessel of sin.
So the causes of divorce, they're quite different. Listening to Akosia, she has like a whole different mentality about the institution called marriage in itself. But it exists for some people, and for some people that's their reality, that they get into these unions, and then they come across, what do they call them? Factors that are untenable. Cheating is one of them. You've mentioned disrespect.
Economic hardships, yes.
You know, when a man cannot provide, you have situations where a man cannot provide.
No romance without finance.
You see, in pre-colonial Africa, that won't be a problem. You know why? A woman is self-sufficient, and the men understood this. Men could be free. And if you have a child of a woman, the woman is taking care of herself and her children. So the pressure on a man to now provide wasn't there. But then, do you see the pressure now we give to men now?
Yeah, in our setting, men have to foot the bill.
In the current modern setting, let's just say that.
Take your side chick, your girlfriend, to a restaurant, the bill comes, the man pays, and the woman even take the change.
Hey.
Yes, they do. They don't want to contribute. They even be making extra orders. The woman is sitting down.
But you see, you're saying you took your other woman out. Let's bring it to the marriage conversation. Yes. The other women, really, are we having a conversation about the other women? We are talking about the woman that
has been cheated on in the monogamous situation. Right?
Yes, in a seemingly monogamous situation. Because you promised somebody monogamy,
yes,
only to step out. And so we are not having the conversation about you at a restaurant with the other woman. Yeah. It's how you're treating the other woman that is becoming now grounds for divorce.
Oh yeah,
the conversation we're having
so
now.
I'm looking at it like, if you're a man and you cannot provide for the house, especially for the woman, it's not all women who can withstand that the correct pressure. Yeah. So some of them will find ways and means to cater for their basic needs, and then it's easily for any woman, married woman, who begins to beg the opposite sex for favors, you end up being chopped.
Are these legal grounds? So do these hold up in court?
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
asking because for someone to consider getting, out of a marriage or out of in these parts we don't have civil partnerships, but to get out of that kind of partnerships, there has to be something the court will consider as.
Oh yeah, there are 8 main major grounds. You must first establish that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation.
Okay.
And some of the ingredients is one, desertion. You know,
Desertion,
people can desert
Yeah.
marriage. They leave
Yeah.
their marital home
3 years,
for
4
2 years, 3 years, 5 years without any feedback, without providing.
Yeah.
Then we have adultery.
Adultery.
If both parties commit adultery, it's a grounds for divorce. Then we have there's an unreasonable, unreasonable behavior. Unreasonable behavior. Cheating,
Cruelty,
cheating,
abuse.
Abuse, disrespect, looking down upon your couple. And then we have others too. We look at another grounds is when you fail to maintain. Maintenance of the maintenance in marriage is also another ground. You see, so the court will
What does that mean? Failing to maintain
is to take care of every man's duty is to take care of the home. One of the duties of the husband.
Even if the woman earns more?
Yeah, definitely. You have a duty to take care. You have to contribute. You have to contribute as a man.
You're saying that the burden of maintaining does not lie on the woman, even if she earns more.
Yes, you see, the law says that both parties must contribute. It's a shared responsibility. But the man cannot say that I don't have. Once you say you don't have, that means that the marriage, the woman is just suffering. And therefore, they can go for grounds that since we got married, the man has failed to maintain. And you know, men, if you don't demand, that's why I always tell women that you must always make a demand on your husband. Don't have mercy. Don't pity your husband. Don't say, oh, my husband, he doesn't have. Look, women.
Isn't that understanding and
men,
supportive
if
of a
you
man's
don't,
economic circumstances?
No, please. Men, if you don't demand, we will give that money to our side chicks. I'm telling you, never favor a man. Never think that you are doing your husband good. But so, please, let him be responsible. So we have situations whereby a woman is going to marry. He says, oh, I have my clothing, and some of them didn't allow men to sign fake checks to be given to the family. See, when you allow the man that space, they will discard the marriage. Because you see, we value a woman, our wife, when we spend more on them. When men spend on you, then they begin to love you. I can tell you, our love is based on how much we have invested in you.
That's so sad.
Yes, how much?
Sad.
You see, Bible says that. Tell me, show me where your heart is, and I'll show you where my
where your treasure is.
The treasure is there. Yes. So the more we spend on our women, that is why a man can be crazy on a side chick because he's spending much on a side chick than the wife. So if you are
invested,
yes,
what you're saying.
yes, because so you make sure that your husband spend on you. Make sure that don't allow your husband enough money. I can remember when my wife was alive. What I'm doing is that if I have 1,000 cedis on me, and I'm telling my wife that I'm going to Kumasi, I'll come and tell my wife that look, I have 1,000, but keep 700 Ghana for me at home, because I know that 300 Ghana I will return with nothing, because I'll go and use it for chilling and show. And once there is a girl around and say, oh, Lampa, oh, can you buy me pizza? There's a temptation is that I will end up buying the pizza. You see, so if I spend the 300 Ghana, whilst coming back home, I know that the woman, if she has spent at all, maybe 200 or 300 Ghana, I'll have 400. So normally when you invest in your wife, you take good care of your wife, you treat your wife with respect, make sure that you give your wife quality enjoyment. Take your wife out, give your wife pizza, all the things that you do for that so-called side chick, do same to your wife, and your love will develop.
Some men don't. Not all men think the way you're thinking. So let's come into the settlement space for a minute. What does the law say? The laws of Ghana say about who gets what in the event of a divorce.
You see, let's start this conversation by saying that both parties enter into the marriage, and when they marry, we have situations where a man before marrying acquires self-acquired property already, and maybe the woman too have acquired self-acquired already. Those properties are not matrimonial property. You built your house before you got married. The woman have built a house before she got married. Those properties are not tagged matrimonial properties. But there is a presumption. It is, however, rebuttable. Rebuttable means that it can always be challenged. There is a presumption that if the property was acquired during the course of the marriage, it is presumed that it is a matrimonial property. So when you marry your wife, 2 years along the line, you put up a 3-bedroom self-contained, there's a presumption that that house is a matrimonial home. Therefore, it is a matrimonial property. Although it can be rebutted, meaning you can now consider, look, my lord, this property that I've acquired during the marriage was a gift. So you can tell the court that it's not a matrimonial property, it was a gift. Maybe it was a gift from my father and mother. So a gift is not it cannot be shared. If my father make a gift of a 3-bedroom house and during the course of our marriage, what you can't.
So that's interesting because I've heard people say when we got married, my father gave us a house as a gift. That property cannot be that one.
A gift and then maybe a will. Your father make a will, and then once you are married, my father made a will and then settle one of the property to me. It's not a matrimonial property.
So if your father leaves you something, or if you inherit something during the course of the marriage, that will not be in the list of things to be shared. Okay.
So when you're able to establish that this property was acquired through the joint effort, if that's that property acquired through the joint effort of the parties, then the court will say that it is fair and Article 22 that when they are divorcing, then let's have an equal share of the property.
Who determines what the joint effort is? In a situation where Akusia said that the men are out there getting the jobs done, children have come in perhaps, and they've decided for the sake of the upbringing and for the care of the home, I'm here and I'm going to do the home side of things. So what's the scale?
They don't look at it as a marriage. The marriage is more like a partnership.
Yes,
we have the home maker and then the breadwinner. Yes. So if we decide that, look, you go and look for money and then use it to acquire property, and let me use my money to maintain the house, then equally we are jointly acquiring the property. And at times it goes, you must lead evidence to that effect. Maybe the indenture, you have your names are normally the man and woman names it's on a gender, and then also you have to have evidence of one's building a house, the masons, the carpenters, those who went and worked on the house. You must take them to court to show that whilst the house was being built, these were your direct or indirect contributions, and normally it's based on evidence. So once you are able to show that you contributed so much to the acquisition of the property, and then you are not able to determine how much, then the court will say that equality is the way out.
And so you go that
50-50.
So what about men? And Akusha, I'll let you ask your question. What about people, not just men, because I have to be fair in this matter, who build and who acquire property that their spouses do not know about?
It's very interesting, and it's happening. It's serious wickedness on the part of a man if you decide to acquire property and then you decide to hide the property from the man. I have had situations where a man came to my chambers, acquired the property at McCarthy Hill, 7-bedroom apartment. The wife is not aware, the children is not aware, the family is not aware. He just told me that he said to me that he's going to Canada, he will return and then try to expand the property and make it a guest house, only for him to go and have an accident. So the man did not return. So he brought a guy. There were two who came to my office. So the guy just called me and said, look, Jimmy is dead. But do you know something? The wife is not aware. And then none of the family members are aware that this 7-bedroom. So lawyer, let's be smart. Wow. Can we sell it? And then the first thing that happened to me is that I was thinking about the ghost. You know, like if there's someone who come.
Yes.
That's the first thing.
Yes.
Hey, ghost day. Think about this, ghost. No. That's the first thing that hit me. I was not even thinking that alone. Said, hey, Jimmy will come and hunt you.
Exactly.
So I was like, when the guy brought the idea, first I thought about the ghost issue, but then secondly, I talk about my life. Because if somebody have brought about such an evil idea, and you decide not to be very careful in exposing, he can come and end your life. Because that's the only person who knows about the property.
Yes.
And you have the document. So if he organizes contract killers, it ends there, he takes it. So I felt interest. I said, oh, yeah, I think it's a good idea. So let's wait after the funeral. Then we see how it goes. So during the funeral in Kumasi, I just went and then sat closer to the wife and said, I'm lawyer Maurice Sampao. Do you know me? He said, no. Your late husband's a lawyer. After the funeral, see me. I gave my contact number. When she came, I said, look, your late husband has the property here. It's a secret. This is the document. So let everybody know that you are aware.
But assuming that this man did not die, and this man had this property hidden from his wife, and the woman had no knowledge of that property, in the event of a divorce, what happens?
If you don't have any knowledge, how can you bring it to the attention of the
But
court?
if you find out
When
later, can
find
you
out,
go
yeah,
and ask for
yes,
it
you
after
can-
the divorce has gone
Yeah,
through?
definitely. You
Okay.
can always go back and then apply to the court that the court there was an attempt to hide the property. Therefore, the court should make an order to that effect.
I'm excited that you raised the issue about hiding property, because we are hearing of all these ingenious ways of making sure that the wife is not aware that you own some property, or the husband in some instances. Can you hide property under your mother's ownership?
You see, when I read that Akim
That
story,
story, yes.
We don't know if
Yes,
that is
yes,
true,
it's
and
true,
this
but, there's a
conversation, disclaimer,
Yes,
this conversation
yes,
is not because of Hakimi and his wife.
but I have read it on social media.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and men generally are so excited.
It's
And
crazy.
people are so happy. These footballers have suffered a lot in the hands of their wives. Anytime you have Ghanaian footballers who apply to the court, and currently there is one pending. John Mensah issue is pending at the court, where after divorce, with their wives claims half of the property. So people were excited. But in Ghana context, the law will not allow you. See, when you decide to hide the property, it comes. Some of them come in the form of money laundering.
Is it hiding?
Okay. Yes.
If you give 80% of your earnings to your mother, is it hiding?
If you intentionally do it. Some of us, I don't want to tell you the trick. There are some lawyers. I can tell you, everything lawyer Ampa is not in my name. So if you sue me, you sue nothing.
Wow.
If you drag me, that's why I make a lot of noise. Anything is not in my name. In my lifetime, I acquire everything in the name of my children. So if you sue me, you get nothing. So there are some people who have that mentality.
Yeah.
That look, it's difficult to have properties in your name.
Is that legal?
It's legal. What is illegal about it? If I buy a property and I make a gift of this property to my children, I buy a house, I say it's property, I give my gift to my wife, but it is legal. So if after suing me and you are thinking of going after my property and you go and do search at the land registry, it's in the name of my son. You go and do a search at the DVLA, the car is not in my name. It's legal. But I'm talking about a situation where you, in a marriage setting, you deliberately decided to do such an act in order to avoid a situation whereby your wife will have a share or will have settlement. There's something we call the law of equity. It's equity. It's called tracing.
Okay.
Tracing. Okay. The law will trace the source of that property. So I have 5 houses. I acquired them during the marriage. And then I decided to give all to my mother, knowing very well that anytime my wife decided to file for divorce, when he decided to seek for property settlement or alimony, then I can come out to say that, oh, I don't owe any of the 5 houses. It belongs to my mother. One, the court have to inquire.
Okay.
Who is your mother?
Okay.
How was your mother able to acquire those property? So the source of wealth of your mother will be determined. And then when they get to know, they do a tracing to find out that you bought the house, but intentionally. Then the court will trace, equity will trace the property and give it back to the original owner, so that the court will be able to make a gift or a settlement on. The law is that
I like that.
If I have 5 houses and my wife decided not even to contribute, my wife have nothing. At the end of the divorce, the law says that the court can settle any of the houses to my wife as a wife. So my wife need not to show that he contributed. All that my wife need to show is that I'm married to my husband, and at the end of the day, I'm seeking divorce.
But the Supreme Court gave us a J versus a J.
A J is a lead. It's not binding. The court was somehow confused.
The Supreme Court was confused.
Yes, listen to me.
When it interpreted.
Yes, confused because
that case
let me tell you why they were
judgment on
confused.
it.
Let me tell you why they were confused.
Okay.
You have a situation where there were 5 judges, and the voting 3:2
Okay.
Allegedly. And out of the three, two of the judges have issues with divorce. Three of the judges, they have divorced 6 times. The Supreme Court judges, 2 that I know. They married and every 6 months they divorce. That judge. So all the 3 judges were men, and the 2 were female. So it was 3 to 2.
I see.
His Lordship Doji wrote the dissenting judgment, and then said that it's unfair that if a woman has contributed directly or indirectly, the contribution should be whatever they want brought.
But the ruling was that if in a spouse claiming an interest in a property acquired either in part or in whole during the subsistence of a marriage, must prove that he or she contributed in some measure towards the acquisition of the property. So, Apau, as you're saying,
yeah, so you have Apau.
We talked about the respondent in this case did not lead any evidence to show how the matter in contention, the 4-unit of flat, the 4-unit flat at Cantonment was property, or how the property were built, and how she contributed to the building of the property.
You see, let me tell you something. This, you see, in divorce, and the decision of the court is based on case by case study. You see, this is a 4-bedroom apartment built by the man, and the man says that in the course of the marriage, I contracted a loan,
which he was still paying for, according to the facts of the case.
Meanwhile, there are other matrimonial properties, and the woman is not interested in those ones because the value is good. So he wants the cantonment one. So he was insisting that despite that the court was willing to give her the other property, she targeted the cantonment one. And that is where the court said that once you've targeted the cantonment one, you have to prove that you contributed. And then she failed to prove any direct contribution.
The respondent said that they were the one nurturing the family unit by cooking meals, cleaning, doing laundry, and all associated chores that the stay-at-home partner is expected to do without remuneration.
Yes, so those
and on that basis, she felt she deserved.
Definitely, and that one, the court will give you other properties. You see, there were other properties. We have 4 units and other properties, and I'm saying that once the court was willing to give the woman any of the other properties apart from the 4 apartments as compensation for indirect contribution, she was insisting that she has interest in the 4 apartments.
The cantonment.
Yes, and the court said that if you are insisting, despite your indirect contribution of managing a home, cooking for the children, having sex, we are ready to give you maybe one of the house, which is not the cantonment one. And once you insist, then give us evidence to show that you contributed. And the woman failed to do so. But the man was able to produce evidence that that house, that apartment, he went in for a loan with the mindset that he wanted to make the commercial building. So he went to the loan and he's still paying. He's left with 3 billion to be paid. So even there, the Supreme Court said that then even that property is not fully the property of the husband, because the one who has given the loan has equitable interest in it. So that cannot even.
So a J versus a J cannot be used as a basis for those who say that you have to contribute.
The J gave a lot of leads and says that, I know they came out to say that every case is a different case.
Yes,
so we must go look at it case by case, because they said that, look, we understand that you need to show contribution, and contribution, some of them can be indirect. Yes, but also you have to be very careful that the fact that you are married to a man doesn't mean that you have automatically 50% share of the property. They gave all this thing, and then they also came up to say that, look, the moment you are claiming ownership of a property, be ready to provide evidence. And then they also came out to say that, look, at times people under Article 18, people have the right to acquire self-acquired property on their own.
Whilst they are married.
While they are married.
So a woman can decide that, listen, I want to buy a piece of land, and I want it to bear only my name.
Good.
And that is legal. And a man can do same. And at the point of a divorce, none of those properties.
Once you need evidence to show that once we are married, this particular property, I decided to build it for myself, and then without the support of the husband, you are able to let the court understand.
Can that be challenged though by the other spouse who feels who must have felt that, listen, whilst we are together, there is some support, psychological, whatever.
That is where the evidence comes to play. Please, support,
I gave you
support is not like buff.
So I actually wanted to ask, when you were talking about the evidence, I wanted to know how accessible is it for us to prove evidence that is like emotional, psychological support, that type of. Does the court make it easy to prove that type of support?
You see, when you are looking at a property that you are claiming that you jointly acquired, you see, you are making a claim that I jointly, meaning that me and my husband decided to put up this property. Then the court will hold you to that duty of providing evidence of your contribution, and that you can prove by one, how the even land was acquired.
Okay.
At times, the land can be in the name of the husband alone.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that that house is for the husband alone. Now, you can also lead evidence to show that despite that the land is in the name of the husband, in the construction, you were part and parcel. In fact, you went and supervised it. The masons,
you were buying them.
Yeah, definitely. All these things. That's why, as a woman, you must bring all these masons and those who saw you contributing. Let them give their witness statements. Yes, don't come home. We know, madam. When we were constructing, madam was bringing money. You know, madam. So you lead evidence. So don't go out there and start crying. And then I supported. Then the court said, how? They said, I supported when they were constructing. My husband was always at work. And then I became the supervisor. I go to the site every day, gives money to the masons. I also go and ensure that when anything they are buying, I'm part of it. At times even, I have issues to show that some of the cement, I bought it. All those evidence.
But what if it's not as direct? So what if, for instance, the support is, I'm not the one who goes to go and look at the land, find the masons, whatever. My husband is doing all of that. But then the support I give him is the stress that he gets finding money all the time. When he comes home, dealing with his depression, dealing with all of that. What about that type of indirect evidence?
The indirect contribution, the court don't want you to come and make a claim that the house is jointly acquired. What, you see, are you seeing the difference?
Okay.
Don't come and tell the court that I jointly acquired this property.
Okay.
Tell the court that look, let's be honest. I know this house was built by my husband, but I have contributed emotionally, supported. Therefore, don't let me go empty-handed. Give me something.
So it's your premise, how you
put your case across. Yeah. Give me something. That the court has the power under the Motor Causes Act to settle any of the property. If the properties is 3, the court can give you 1. No, the court always have the power to give properties to the woman at the end of the trial, whether there's contribution or no contribution.
Does the reverse also work? Because we are talking about, settling the woman, but what about where it's proven that the woman is the breadwinner and the man? I know men who are stay-at-home dads who look after children. Does that apply in the reverse as well?
The law is about spouse, and spouse is man and woman. Therefore,
neutral.
If you are filing divorce and you want settlement, one of the things that you, the man, have to do, you have to also go to court and prove to the court that you also, your woman has a lot of money. He has acquired a lot of property during the course of the marriage, and he also contributed. And this emotional, indirect contribution, you were doing the home maintenance. You were bathing the children, you were supporting.
You weren't giving her stress.
Yes, you were not giving her stress. And then you can tell the court that this man, the court of marriage, this woman has built about 7 or 8 houses, and you, at times even your contribution started with giving her capital. And then supporting her at work. So men also have the right to go for alimony and property settlement. So the court looks at those issues. But normally it's very difficult for the man to talk about maintaining me.
Why though? Why though? You see, it's that shame,
yes,
right?
Shame.
That's why we have to correct
it. We have this mentality where even when your wife dies and you are going for the property, people look at you like
you're less than a man.
Oh, shame. Oh, you are going to fight over your wife's clothing.
What do you think we can do to change that?
My own, I decided to go in for my wife's personal effect. the everything, the chains,
Oh,
the clothing. I decided to fight because I have a daughter who's around 15 years.
Yeah.
So I've taken over everything, the personal effect. And I've given it to my daughter. And the family have decided not to dare. Because that is mine, it's for me and the children. Yes. But my wife did not make a will. So we went and appeared this one-on-one.
Okay.
So, yes. So a personal effect. And then if he has a house, belongs to me and the children.
What happens to the family? In the Ghanaian context of marriage, it's not just boy meeting girl. It's also family A meeting family B. What happens to families in a divorce settlement?
Oh, their duty is when it comes to traditional marriage, they have a big role to play because they brings the marriage together, and traditionally they have to accept and then try to reconcile the parties. Failure to do so, they end up accepting the divorce, and then in the Akan language, they pour powder on you, with the bill. Then they also have a way of trying to do property settlement. They try to find out from the man or the woman if you have anything that you want to settle in terms of if you have anything you have to give to the man or you have to pay. They try to do that, and they also award. They have a way of awarding system. So find something for your wife. But under our the court act and then the matrimonial court act, you can even take a customary marriage to court for property settlement. So although the family can divorce the marriage, but when it comes to property settlement, the court has power to look into, because at times the family can be biased. You have situations whereby in customary setting divorce, the woman goes home with 20 Ghana. Some of them they say, so the man be so the family cannot do justice. They cannot implement the law. So you can always take the issue of customary marriage to our law court, so that the court will look at how effectively to do property settlements.
We are talking marriage, divorce, and settlements on GTV Breakfast. So we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll be taking some of your messages. 05555610334. Send them across to us now. When we come back from the break, we'll have a look at what you're saying. Okay? We'll be back.
You need to ask yourself, where do you want to go? No matter who you are, trust yourself. Dream big. Break the rules, not the laws. Keep pushing. Everything is possible. Trust yourself. Life is about confidence. Africa, it's your time.
Son, live with confidence.
Shield Paint is loved and trusted for its excellent quality and value for money. And now Shield is giving you even more. New Shield Gloss Paint is UV resistant and reflects light easily, giving it an advantage of maintaining its higher gloss finish for much longer. Loaded with unique properties that block sun rays and prevent fading under Africa's dashing sun. No matter the weather, New Shield Gloss Paint's incomparable protective quality makes it gleam through the years. New Shield Gloss Paint with UV resistance beautifies wooden and metal surfaces, and you're spoiled for choice with over 1,500 colors. New Shield Gloss Paint with UV resistance, another quality Azar product from Azar Group since 1921.
Thanks for staying on. It's still Breakfast on GTV. We've been talking about marriages, divorces, and settlements. Our lawyer at the table, Maurice Ampao, legal practitioner, and the other voice at the table, Akosia Hansen, broadcaster and women's rights activist, trying to give us different angles to this story of marriage, to this story of divorce, and to this story of settlements. Like we said, This has nothing to do with the issue about Akimi and his wife. So you're sending your messages across to us on our WhatsApp number 05555610034. CAF is there now sharing your thoughts and not the thoughts of GBC. Mr. Day.
So Simone says in Akpoma and another versus Mensa, the family of the deceased sought to be given a portion of the estate of the deceased. However, the court declined that application. Does it mean the family of a deceased are not entitled to any property if the person dies intestate? Someone is, you guys, you laughed, eh? Someone is proposing to you. Good morning. Very educative program this morning. Clearly, marriage is for the matured. Yakubu, North Legon. Come on, GTV breakfast. So you guys are going to other issues. We're looking about settlement, but you're talking about what happens to a man who neglects his children for a long time and the wife takes care of the children all these years. Now the man wants to use his position in society to take the children away from the mother.
That's an issue.
Lawyer Apau, men are men very interested in their spouse's property in case of divorce? That's St. Mark from Spintex. Maurice, you get that a lot? Are men interested in women's property?
No.
You're not. Okay. Somebody needs lawyer's number. Okay. You are from McCarthy Hill. Don't get personal, people. I'm not getting what I want. Guys, let's stick on. Can a woman
get pregnant while married?
I don't understand some of these
Everyone is
messages.
asking this question.
Please, I want to know if the mother of the woman you got married to, both from the court and the church, has the power to break the marriage. Can your mother-in-law break your marriage? Well, anything. Please ask Lawyer Ampa, if the divorcee is refusing to accept or grant the divorce, what can the divorceur do at the point? Divorceur and divorcee. So if the person wants to be divorced, is refusing to grant, no. He says no, is refusing to accept or grant the divorce, what can the divorceur do? Sounds like an insult, man. Good morning, GTV. The fact remains that if you want to reap in any man's life, sow deep into his life. You don't reap when you don't sow. Is that the position of the law?
No. That's not the position.
What is the position of the law?
You go into the marriage and then the law do what is fair and just.
That is all.
Situation.
By the specific case.
Yes.
Okay. Say, please read my message. What is your message? I don't even know. Lawyer Ampol said that a woman who cheats can become pregnant for another man. But he neglected that a guy who cheats can also infect his innocent wife with terrible diseases. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Bernice from Afienya. More messages coming in. Guys are deviating, man. I want to ask what access is available to a man whose wife is pregnant for another man while still married.
Is there a legal remedy for a man like this? If
you're married to A is married to B, yeah, but B is pregnant for C.
Grounds for divorce. How can
you tolerate that? As simple as that.
But you see, when the men do it,
the men we compensate.
Okay.
They do.
The woman can offer
women
compensation
go mad.
No.
I know women who've gone mad.
Listen, there are some men
because
who
of the
really,
craziness,
in fact, we have some men who really love their wives, so they cover up. They will take up responsibility.
Is that love?
Yes, they can leave.
Then you find out later. Yes. When he dies, then all their children will be trooped in.
Okay, so assuming that we're not just discussing this footballer, but assuming that case happened in Ghana, where they go for the woman asks for divorce, they go to the court, and they realize that the man has sent all his earnings to his mother. How would that case proceed in Ghana?
The court is a court of equity and law. So the court will use the power of equity to find out whether it is fair and just that you married a husband, you live with the husband for so many years, acquire property, and already the property now is being hidden or is given to the mother. A court of equity will step in. They will use the law of tracing.
Okay.
So if the court is able to trace to find out that this was deliberately done, then they will revert the money to the original owner, and then the wife will be given a portion.
Okay.
Will the mother get in trouble if it is found that or will the court try to determine whether the mother is hiding property on behalf of the son, and would that create problems for the mother?
If they are able to find out that there is an involvement of money laundering. Money laundering takes place when people want to hide the source of income. So when they realize that there is a money issue, then the criminal matter comes in. Where people acquire money illegally, but then they end up buying property and then the other day sell the property, and then they cover up the illegality. So when the court is able to establish that there is this money laundering involved in the transaction, then they can report that to the financial intelligence units.
This is a question for you. What if the couple had a customary marriage which wasn't legally registered? Will the wife have a share of her husband's property after a divorce?
Definitely. Customary marriage is marriage.
Yeah.
So whether registered or not, it's marriage. Therefore, you are entitled to a share of the property when you can prove. In court.
Somebody is using the media to propose to the guest. In fact, we have to go back to oldies.
Christ.
Christian marriage is failing in Ghana, Africa. What does the law say about separation in terms of responsibilities?
Oh, no. Law, Ghana, we don't recognize separation.
Oh, really?
Yes, we don't. It's not in our status book.
Isn't it?
No.
So before divorce, if a couple do not
It's
live
your own
together-
thing. You are doing your own separation, but God don't recognize it. So you can do it, but the court will never separate. The court is interested in divorce or refusing to grant it. The court can refuse to grant a divorce or...
On what basis would the court refuse to?
When the court realizes that the marriage has not broken down with no reconciliation. Normally, at times somebody comes and say that I'm tired of the marriage. Then the court, you see, the court must inquire into the circumstances. It is the duty of the lawyers first, even if you engage lawyers, to ensure that you have done everything possible to attempt to reconcile the party. When you fail to do so, you have to come and report to the court. And the court have to take evidence to establish beyond reasonable doubt that this marriage cannot. I have a situation where I did a divorce case between one man of God and then the wife. You know, I'm representing the wife, and then the other lawyer was representing the man of God. We went to court several times, not knowing the judge didn't want to grant the divorce because the woman, my client, a woman, so me, keeps on saying that I'm out of love, and the judge said that that's not the grounds. Then it goes out. I don't feel the marriage. Then the judge said that that's not the grounds. You can continue. So it kept on, and then it got to
So
say,
not loving someone anymore is not a ground.
no, it's not the grounds. What is the meaning of love? You see? So it kept on, and then I became frustrated with the attitude of my client. Say, yeah, when you go to court, and you have to tell the court why you don't want to. You are not saying until one day I told her that go and tell the court the truth.
Okay.
Then in the chambers, the judge asked, you said you are not in love with the man anymore. I said yes. They said give reasons. He said to the extent that when I'm going to have sex, I don't wait. They said me need feeling. They just say for that one day.
Is that a ground?
Yes, a ground. It means that say who need feeling more better. I said this is easy for the woman to go and cheat. So they said that if this is what normally happens to you, then I'll grant you the divorce.
So dryness is a cause for divorce?
Yes. If you don't feel your husband, it's a cause.
I feel like
I like this
traditionally it's so
question.
much easier, right, for you to end to divorce marriages. They understand, like what she's saying, it can be a basis. You can just leave because of that. But what he's saying about the courts being invested in reconciling is a very important thing because the courts are invested in the family unit. The family unit is the basic economic unit of this capitalistic system. So that's why it's not easy to divorce. They are invested in keeping you that way, especially for capitalistic reasons.
No,
you know
the state loses a lot when
Exactly.
there's divorce.
So, but divorce cases are
What
on
do
the
they lose?
rise.
That's why
It's a basic economic unit.
the court don't want to make this divorce so easy for the parties. So the court put impediments. First, they will tell you that even when you marry, you cannot divorce within 2 years.
You can't?
Yeah, you can within 2 years.
But when does annulment come in?
Annulment is when the court realizes that there is no marriage at all. So when you marry within 2 years, before you want to divorce, you have to go and seek permission. You file a process to the court and say, my lord, we married just 2 years.
Yeah.
And the court says it's not enough for you to divorce. Then come and give you reasons. So you can say that one, the man is not providing financially, you are down, or you give a very good reasons why within a short period of time you want to divorce.
But does that hold for traditional marriage too? If you marry somebody traditionally?
Yeah, definitely.
You can it's easier to divorce.
Traditional marriage is marriage.
It's easier to divorce traditionally?
Come on.
It's
In
easier-
a
you
traditional
just send
marriage,
the
customary
drinks.
marriage, is it
You send
easier
the drinks
to
back.
get divorced?
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier depending upon when one of the a family realize that the marriage is a useless marriage. A useless marriage, especially when the wife has married an irresponsible man who is not having enough money, so the man becomes a burden. So that when you see the family even pushing the woman
to end it.
Are we done?
Are
we done? Is it safe for a woman to build a house in the husband's family house?
It's legally wrong. Never build a house on the family land, because that house belongs to the family at the end of the day. You only have a lifetime interest in it.
Last one. Good morning. If there's a divorce with no property, is there any money given to the partner that is leaving?
Yes,
There's
definitely.
no property.
Alimony is only about property, but money.
Okay, I'm done.
They can give
All
you
right,
money.
thank you so much, Kaf. We'll be taking final comments. How does somebody get the child and somebody does not? What happens to the children in a divorce? Or should we save that for another?
No, I can just briefly. The court look at it from this angle. The child, male child or female child, when the child is a girl, you have to stay with the mom. Now, I believe that there's no way out the court to allow a girl child to be given to the mom, because the issue is that if you give the girl child to the dad, the issue of taking care of the child, there are certain sensitive area of the girl child that the man should not go. How can a man decide to bath the girl child and wash?
Well, some fathers bath for their children.
No, but it's dangerous. The law is that let's always allow the women to have the children until they get to some age, 7 years and above. And then the court will intervene whether the man can go to court and say that the woman is so responsible. The woman, it doesn't take care of the children, is always out, boozing, or he's not a mother, he's having some bad influence over the children. That one is difficult for the man. So when there is divorce, depending upon the age, when the child is below 0 to 7, it's always the woman getting the custody and the man getting reasonable access. Visitation included. Yes, definitely.
Right. Akosia, we are wrapping up. This conversation, does it change your perspective about this forever journey for some in any way? With everything that you've learned at the table today, does it give you any reliefs?
I mean, I was just telling him and when we went off it that I didn't recognize how our law was. The law is very equitable. It's done the work, and the problems are just society. So, I mean, my final words are like, the basic thing is mating, is human beings. We are trying to live in this environment and die and be happy wherever we'll go to when we die, And unions happen, unions break. We've created systems for how to deal with when unions break. And all I'll say is we should create kinder systems. So our society, it's not even just the law courts, your family, the people around you, your friends. How do we treat people who are divorced? We make it look like they are somehow lesser, they failed or whatever. But actually, the same way you had a boyfriend in this thing, university, the boyfriend you had when you were working is not the same boyfriend. You also broke up with that person to come to another person. That we moved to find where our heart is, and we should just have kinder societies that allow for unions and for unions to end.
Because it's sounding like keep moving till you find it.
I like it. She's very liberal, and I like her spirit.
All right. Final word before we rise.
Please, divorce is expensive.
Facts.
So I would not.
How much does it take to initiate a divorce?
Depend upon consultation. Depend upon the lawyer. I'm 22 years or 23 years in practice. Therefore, you pay me 2,000 consultation fee.
Wow.
Then depend upon the property that I'm going to. I take 20%, and then if you don't pay at all, 100,000 Ghana cedis.
Hey.
So if you're broke, I don't want to say if you are poor. I don't want to say if you are poor. If you are poor, you don't get a divorce. If you are broke, you might not get a divorce. But hey, it's certainly a topic, a reality for many of you, and we know that these can be very sensitive topics, and so we aim to educate you on what your rights are. If you should find yourself in those circumstances, definitely get with somebody who can offer you the proper legal advice so that you are given what you are rightly due. And love is what we always preach at this table. We'll be back again tomorrow at 5:55 to do it all over again on GTV Breakfast. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day.
A woman of quality knows what she wants. If you want to tidy me and do what you want, then hurry, come carry your baby. die.